guys, good morning. This is Regine Gimalan, and for today's vlog, we are going to discuss the learning thinking styles and multiple intelligences. Later, we will go to Iliana Bay Integrated Computer College Incorporated and ask some students about this topic if they have knowledge about this. But before we proceed to that, let me discuss to you first what is learning thinking styles. Learning thinking styles refer to the preferred way an individual processes information. They describe a person's typical mode of remembering, thinking, or problem solving. In other words, learning thinking styles is the way of how a person best process information. There are several perspectives about learning and thinking styles, but today we will focus on sensory preferences and global analytic continuum. Sensory preferences, this refers to the preference of an individual in acquiring information or knowledge. Sensory preferences, from the word itself, sensory preferences, an individual's preference in acquiring knowledge through sensory stimuli like visual, auditory, and kinesthetic or tactile. Under the sensory preferences, we have different types. We have visual learners, auditory learners, and tactile or kinesthetic learners. Visual learners, these are learners who are good in retaining information when it is presented to them in a graphic depiction, such as arrows, charts, diagrams, maps, and more. Richard further break visual learners into two, which are the visual iconic and visual symbolic. Visual iconic, these are learners who are more interested in visual imagery such as graphics, films, charts, and designs or pictures. They usually have a good memory picture. They like to read a map better than to read a book. So in short, visual iconic, these are learners who are good in acquiring information through visual imagery. So the other one is the visual symbolic. Visual symbolic are learners who are comfortable with abstract ideas like mathematical formulae or written word. They would like to read books than to read a map, unlike the visual iconic. Visual symbolic like to read things rather than hear about them. So in short, visual symbolic, this refers to the learners who are comfortable in symbols. And visual iconic are learners who are good in visual imagery. Now let's proceed to auditory learners. Auditory learners, these are learners who prefer to listen in information, who prefers listening and information that is presented to them vocally. They are best through verbal discussions, interactions, talking things through, and they would like to listen to what others have to say. So in short, auditory learners are learners who best acquire knowledge through listening. Under the auditory learners, there are two categories, which are listeners and talkers. Listeners, this is the more common type of a learner. They most likely to do well in school and also out of school. They remember things said to them and make that information their own. On the other hand, talkers, these are listeners who prefer to talk and discuss. They tend to talk to people around them, and also in a class discussion, when the teacher is not asking question, these listeners, the talkers, tend to whisper and say something about themselves. Now, the difference between these two, talkers and listeners, these are learners who prefer to who remember things easily when it is said to them. While the talkers, these are learners who prefer to talk and discuss. The last type of sensory preferences is the tactile or kinesthetic learners. This type of person or learner learns more from a hands-on approach. These learners find it hard to sit still for a long period of time. They prefer to learning by doing. So remember that phrase, learning by doing. This means these are tactile or kinesthetic learner. So those are the types under the sensory preferences. We have visual learners, auditory learners, tactile or kinesthetic learners. Under the visual learners, we have visual iconic and visual symbolic. Under the auditory learners, we have the listeners and the talkers. And that is the sensory preferences. I hope you guys learned something from this discussion, because right after this, we will go to Iliana Bay Integrated Computer College Incorporated and ask some students about the next perspective of learning thinking styles, which is the global analytic continuum, and we will also ask them about the different multiple intelligences. So, and 3, 2, 1, let's go! Hello guys, we are now at Plaza. I went to school, IBICCI, but the school is closed and there's no students there. So I went here and I spotted some students. They are doing their homeworks and meetings, assessment task, I guess. So let's start asking one of them about the learning thinking styles and the multiple intelligences. Excuse me, can I enter for a while, ma'am, sir?
Yes.
Say hi to my vlog.
Hi.
What's your name po, ma'am?
My name is Grizel Kate Gachera.
And you, sir?
I am Robert Poy Javier La Paz.
So, I have a question po. Are you familiar with the learning thinking styles and the multiple intelligences?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what is global and analytic continuum? Ma'am, sir?
So, global thinkers are bored memorizing, would rather read experience, stories, and anecdotes. They prefer to work in group than to work individually.
So global thinkers they prefer to work in group rather than with themselves.
Yes.
How about the analytical po, sir?
Analytic thinkers are traditional learners. They focus on fact and details before they can understand the whole concept. They need to be seated in a quiet place with a bright light on.
So analytic thinkers are more like traditional learners pala. Thank you so much. How about you po, ma'am? Do you have addition about the global and analytic continuum?
Yes. We have the left brain, which is a person, if good at verbal, he responds to a word meaning, and sequential, he can processes information linearly and responds to logic, and he plans ahead, and he recalls people's name and speaks with few gestures. Punctual, yes, and he prefers formal study design and prefers bright lights while studying. So that person is belong to the left brain. While the second one, we have a right brain, which is more on visual. If a person is more on visual and he responds to the tone of voice, he responds to emotions, impulsives, recalls people's faces, prefers sound music background while studying, and he also prefers frequent mobilities while studying. So that person is belongs to right brain or global
Okay.
order.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Grizel, Kate Gachera, and Mr. Robert La Paz. I hope you guys learned the global and analytic continuum. So let's ask some students here about multiple intelligence. So I spotted 3 students there, let's ask them about the multiple intelligences. Hello po. Good afternoon po. Can I interrupt you for a while? I doing a vlog po. I have a question po. Are you familiar with the multiple intelligences?
Yes. Multiple intelligence, ito yung differentiation of intelligence of human being, described by Howard Gardner. So first we have eight intelligence. We have first visual spatial intelligence or picture smart. So this is the ability to see in one thing's mind in planning. Like for example, a person can perceive, analyze, and understand a visual information like graphs, diagrams, and other related to visual aids. So the second, we have the verbal or linguistic or word smart. So it is a kind of intelligence that learning through spoken and written. So example, there is a student in classroom and good at debating, give persuasive speeches. Some are good at writing and essays. So there are, or that students or those students belongs to word smart.
Word smart.
Intelligence. So we have the third. Yung third is mathematical logic or number smart or logic smart.
Yeah.
It is about the learning through listening, reasons, and problem solving. These students are or kind of intelligence good at solving problems. Dominoes.
Yeah.
Chess. Di ba alam mo yung familiar kayo sa chess?
So kapag magaling sa chess, ibig sabihin belong siya sa
Belong siya
mathematical
sa
logic.
yes, opo.
Okay, or
Then,
number smart.
Number smart, yes. So we have the fourth. Intelligence. Yun yung bodily, kinesthetic, or body smart. Kung magaling ka sa modeling, athletics, dance, hands-on sciences, so you are a bodily kinesthetic or body smart. So ito yung learning through interactions with one environment. So those are skilled at dancing, sports, yun mga drawings, yun sila.
How about you po, ma'am? You're future educator. So, do you have any addition about the multiple intelligences po?
Yes, so the fifth one is intrapersonal, which is self-smart. It is a learning through feelings, values, and attitudes. So, ang example dito is when we are creating poem, we pwede nating i-share yung feelings and emotions natin dun. And the next is interpersonal, which is learning through interaction to each other. So through socialize, we can learn. They can share their knowledge and we can share our knowledge too. So the seven is naturalist, which is ito yung mga magaling sa nature.
Sa mga halaman.
Yes, mahilig sa halaman. Like ni Kate na maraming halaman sa bahay nila. So,
Yes.
yun yung tinatawag na naturalist. And the last one is existential. So, spirit smart yun. So, ang existential is ito yung nai-involve na dito yung pagka-creative. So, as a teacher, may creative thinking tayo. So, maraming nabubuong tanong sa isip natin, which is why I am here. This is some question that we think that we do not know what is the answer. What is the rule? What is my role to this community as a people? What is my role to this school as a learner?
So, yung mga multiple intelligences natin, meron tayong, ano po yun, ma'am?
Meron tayong visual, spatial, or yung picture smart. Yung second, meron tayong verbal or linguistic or word smart. Yung pang third, meron tayong mathematical logic, number smart or logic smart, bodily kinesthetic or body smart. Then, intrapersonal or self-smart.
Yun yung explain ni Mama Ira.
Yes, interpersonal or yung people
People
smart. Yung pagiging
Talkative sa maraming tao.
yes, naturalist or yung nature smart, yung magaling ka sa halaman or marunong kang
Mag-alaga.
alaga. Class is meron tayong existential or spirit smart.
Thank you po, Ma'am. I hope our viewers learned something, especially there's multiple intelligences.
Yes.
Especially you, Ma'am, I have a question po. Since you're a future educator, so what are the teaching strategies guided by the learning thinking styles and multiple intelligence po?
The first strategies is use question of all types. So as a teacher, kailangan kong gumamit ng question to recall the lesson from our last meeting. So kapag nag-ask ako ng question sa mga estudyante ko, pwedeng may possible na marirecall nila yung lesson ko. The second is provide a general overview of materials to be learned. So as a teacher, kailangan ko ng materials para mas matuto yung mga estudyante ko. For example, yung mga visual aid, kailangan ko ng mga design para mas ganahan yung mga estudyante ko makinig sa akin. The third is allow sufficient time and information. And ang sufficient time is
Sapat na oras.
yes, sapat na oras. Kami mga teacher, may mga nakalaan na oras sa amin para ma-explain namin ng mabuti sa mga student namin. So, fourth is set clear purposes to our listener. So, as a before we discuss our discussion, kailangan pa namin mag-study para or iset yung purpose namin. What is the purpose of our lesson? The fifth strategies is warm up before listening. So, as a teacher, may mga strategies kami na before we discuss our lesson, we need to or we can ask their student or pwede kami mag-provide ng mga quizzes na parang biglaang quizzes para ma-recall nila yung mga lessons nila and maalala nila. The next is use multisensory for processing and retrieving. Ito yung mga for example, exams. Doing exams, we have a direction to their test booklet or test paper. So, may direction na doon, pero we need to explain to them orally para mas maintindihan ng mga estudyante kung ano talaga yung direction. And the seven is use a variety of review and reflection strategies to bring closer to learning. This example to this is writing summaries, creating opinion, kunin mo yung mga opinion ng mga estudyante mo or pwede silang mag-create ng idea and
Like reflection.
Yes. Yun. The last is use descriptive feedback. A very understandable naman yan, feedback, which is we need to praise them. Hindi yung talagang praise na very good lang. So, kailangan pag pinuri natin sila dun sa suggestion nila, parang may kasamang explanation na yes, bakit bakit
Yeah, bakit?
nalito na ako bakit
So, yun yung teaching strategies guided by the learning thinking styles and multiple intelligences. Thank you po for your time answering my questions and for participating in my vlog. So, okay guys, I hope you learned a lot from my vlog today, which is the learning thinking style and multiple intelligences. This is Regine Gimalan, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in my next vlog. Bye bye. Keep safe, everyone.